boldip.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bold Inventors Show. I'm your host, J.D. Houvener, owner, founder, and patent attorney here at Bold Patents Law Firm. And I'm without my co-host again. Matt Colseth is still in Japan. I'm super jealous of him. He's spending time with his family in Tokyo abroad, so he's not available this week. He should be back in 2 weeks, so I'm excited to have him on. But please bring those questions on today. If you're with us live or maybe watching after the fact, you can still plug in questions. My assistant and I will do our best to get back to you with some answers as we do on our platforms across Reddit, Quora, and the forums there. We do have our Facebook page launched live, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So welcome any live viewers to ask questions as we go. We've got a client of ours who's agreed to come on as a guest to be interviewed, Adrienne Von Tongerloo. So she's got an invention she's going to talk about and share her story with just a few minutes. So hang tight for that. She's got a really neat, unique boat drying invention. So we'll be going through the process of getting that done and hearing about the story of what might come down the road. Let's go through a few questions that came in over the week. And again, if you're watching this afterward and you want to catch us live and have some fun and chat, you can catch us at 12 o'clock noon on Pacific, on West Coast time, every Wednesday. So most Wednesdays we'll have our show, the Bold Patents Show, and you can hop in and be a part of the program. And we'll prioritize questions. So if you've got a question and you're one of our live audience members, we'll put you to the top of the list. This one came in just today from our Quora group. Let me share the question here for you so you can take a look at it. How do companies buy patents from independent inventors? This is a very good question, and it's a bit more complicated than just, hey, putting a patent up for sale. Usually, there's kind of, let's say, three easy ways that patents get sold and purchased by companies. One is through proactive solicitation. This is the old school, right? Knocking on doors, going door to door, pushing, pitching your invention. And usually it's best if you've got some sales, right? You've seen Shark Tank, or you've seen those shows where they want to know, hey, what success have you had in the market? But it's pitching. It's trying to sell your product, trying to get your product and your patent or your software, whatever it is, pushed. And you're approaching third parties, the companies. That's probably the first one that kind of seems natural. And it's probably the hardest one to do because people don't necessarily want to hear about it if they don't have an interest in it. Number two is through infringement. May not be as obvious, but the more easy approach than going and finding potential buyers is looking for infringers. And if you are the owner of a patent, it is your job to go police the entire country to see who might be infringing your patent. There are no patent police. There's no third parties that'll go around finding whether there are infringers or not. That's on you. That's your job to go look. And so if you find someone or some company that you think may be infringing, that may turn into a potential deal because you can approach them in a very specific way, write them a letter from a law firm, an attorney threatening lawsuit, and they may end up saying, oh, you know what, let's just pay for this patent. Even if we are going to win the lawsuit, we don't want to go through the motions. Let us just buy this patent from this individual so we can reduce the level of risk of having to go through litigation. I'd say the third method is through licensing. And so this can occur through lots of different platforms where you can license on the manufacturing side or the retail side. And once you have some initial successes with selling the product that you've now licensed to a company, they may just buy the whole patent outright from you. So those are sort of the three ways that patents get purchased. Companies buy patents from independent inventors. All right, let's do one more question. Looks like this is on the trademark side, so I'm going to do my very best without Matt, but I may have to just pass. I haven't actually proofed this question yet. All right, as the title states, I started a brand, and this is in class 25. The main name of my brand is used in at least 4 to 5 different other trademarks in the 25 class when I look it up. All the other brands with a similar name have 2 word names and mine is 3 with only the first word being the same. they all state selling shirts, hats, almost all the same stuff with related to apparel. My brand would be selling more specific items. For example, my brand is called, quote, Jacked Gym, selling workout tank tops, shorts, and workout gear. So the word jacked perhaps is the one that's differentiated. And so I guess the question is come down to, is it different enough? Is it different enough is what this person's asking. Matt, if he was on, would have, I think, more thoughtful, response. But I think it's gonna depend. It's gonna depend on the likeliness of confusion. That's the legal standard that the trademark examiners will look at before they're going to register your brand, especially in the same class, is they're going to make a legal decision on whether a customer, an ordinary customer, would be confused if there's two of the same three words used in the same apparel class, even if what you're selling is specific to gym or athletic wear. And so if there's really any risk to confusion in the marketplace, I think Matt would probably say rebrand. Let's just look for something totally different, all three words unique, so there's no question about it. I think the worst thing that can happen in this situation is you go to market, have some success, and now you have to rebrand because you've got a trademark infringement suit. So hope that helps answer that question. But if you want more detailed answer, you can get on our website at boldpatents.com and book a free discovery call to get a more detailed consultation on trademarks. I think without further ado, let's bring on our guest, Adrienne. Welcome to the Bold Inventors Show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You bet. Thanks for being a willing participant and willing to share your story.
Absolutely.
Well, Adrienne, let's get started. Why don't you give us a brief little background about who you are, and then we can get into learning about what HydroSweep is all about.
Okay, so I won't get into too much detail, but I grew up in Canada, and from a young age, I loved to travel. And so back in 2016, I ended up moving to Honduras to get my dive master's in scuba diving. And I ended up getting my dive master's and then falling in love with a guy from Colorado. And he was working on mega yachts. So we decided to move to South Florida together and start working on boats. And it basically, we were working on deck, anywhere from 8 to 18 hours a day. And I worked on the interior of the boats as well. But he and I came home from work one day and we were just absolutely exhausted from all of the backbreaking work that you have to do because you're constantly cleaning and drying and detailing and polishing these mega yachts. And we were working on, at the time, it was about a 160-foot yacht. And so it takes a large amount of crew to clean and dry an entire boat. And with yachting, and I know most boat owners, they do like to dry everything very well too because of mold and, just general damage that happens when you don't dry things properly.
Right.
Anyway, so he and I came home one day after a really, really long day of just detailing this huge yacht. And we just got into chatting over dinner about how inefficient it is what we're doing. And, for a trillion-dollar industry, it's insane that the tools that we have right now are so archaic and tiny for the size of boats that we're working with. And so he and I kind of saw this hole in the market, and we realized that we could create something that covers a large surface area and absorbs a lot better and just makes something completely different that is high efficiency, really. And so we started working on ideas together, finding different materials to use that were highly absorbent. What's the word I'm looking for? Absorbent.
Yeah, absorbent, yeah. Okay.
So, I usually say I don't know. I have another way of saying absorbent, so I catch myself. Anyway, so we ordered a bunch of materials together, and we ended up traveling for a little bit, having to put it on the back burner. Unfortunately, I lost my husband. We ended up getting married, and he passed away in 2023. So this whole prototype invention was shelved since 2022. And back in 2024, I was starting to feel a little bit better about everything and stronger. So I figured I should try and take another go at this prototype because I really knew that we had something worthwhile.
Yeah.
So I commissioned a few different sizes of this special foam that absorbs 12 times its weight in water. And then I went to Home Depot and I just bought a bunch of different materials to make this tool. So basically it would be a little bit longer than your typical broom size. The shape is a little bit different. It's got like a Y frame head. And
pictures I could pull up. Is that all right? If I can share
yes.
those on the video. And we will want to talk it through for the podcasters too. So I've got your image one. Here, this here. All right, go ahead.
Right. So it is going to be completely made out of carbon fiber. And that on the bottom, there's the foam roller. And then we're going to have a scraper or a squeegee, something that would kind of mimic the paint, like a paint scraper, to remove paint from the paint roller. And the foam roll actually looks quite a bit like a roller that you would buy for painting a room as well. So I ended up building a prototype and testing it out in my apartment in Florida. And it was absolutely incredible in its absorption. There was no evidence of water being anywhere on the floor. I poured like an entire bucket of water on the floor, and it was completely dry. So,
whoa! So tell me about this. Time out for just a second. So this foam material, how did you know about this? I mean, tell me more about that. How did you know to pick that kind of material?
Well, so we already use a version of PVA foam in the like the chamois towels that they use on boats.
Okay.
So it's ShamWow, chamois, and the
right.
chamois mops that they use to dry the boats. They're like this kind of shredded material, but again, really inefficient because you're having to clean ceilings, floors, walls, and it's this shredded mop only covers probably a 6-inch surface area. So, you're trying to clean a ceiling with a mop that's hanging down, the gravity takes it. So really you only have this tiny area that you're trying to dry an entire 160 foot or 300 foot boat with. So this roller will cover the size that I've actually commissioned that's being built in the manufacturing facility right now is 12.5 inches long. So it'll cover a lot more surface area without being too encumbersome. And so sorry, I was looking for similar material to the chamois that we already use on boats because it's made from polyvinyl alcohol foam, and it's just a different density. So in my research, I found that there's this foam that they're using in manufacturing facilities in China that they use for the way that I found they were using it was through creating computer motherboards. So they solder the motherboard, and there's all of these flecks of metal and whatever other materials that they're soldering. They have to dip it in a liquid, and then they've got to dry it and prepare it for shipping. So these white foam rollers are in the manufacturing facility used to dry these computer motherboards. Wow. So I figured if you can use this foam on something as delicate as a computer motherboard, you could use it on glass, teak, metal, stainless steel, and not have any damage at all. So it's non-abrasive and it's antimicrobial. So you can keep it wet and it'll never get moldy.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, let's back up even further in terms of like identifying the need for this. And I'll just ask because it may be kind of a dumb question, but my goodness, down in Florida, the sun is shining. Isn't the sun going to do a lot of this drying for most boat owners? Tell me why there's a need to do additional drawing?
Well, for specifically for Florida and for, I guess, really any boat owner, a lot of the water is hard that they use, and when they're washing it, it's not been treated.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
as well as salt water. The salt is actually very damaging for the entire exterior of the boat. It affects the paint job. It affects the teak. So they're trying to preserve and maintain this really expensive luxury item. And in order to do that, they want every inch of it that's not touching the water to be dried. These, paint jobs can cost upwards of $1 million just to get the boat repainted.
Got it. So the salt and the hard water from the water that's washed off the salt water.
Yeah, even if it does air dry, there's usually some kind of streak or some kind of dust left behind. There's always markings, and with yachting, they want you to have the absolute highest standards of cleanliness, and it's very militant in that way. And because there's so much salt water and sun and just ocean spray, you're cleaning and drying a boat, every 3 days or so, depending on how busy you are.
Okay, got it. Very cool. So, and you were in this industry, you did the work with your husband, and there was no elegant solution. And so you've got this concept, which was sort of, the classic, invention, necessity being the mother of invention. You needed something different if you're not going to have your back breaking and hurting at the end of the day. So what kind of made you think about patents on this?
I think really because I saw the extent to which this could grow, and right now it's just a dream. But immediately after I built the prototype in Florida, I realized that I wanted to have a smaller version for the girls that work on the interior of the boats, because they are actually dealing with a lot of spills, and they have to clean showers every single day. And what typically is done is they dry the showers with the guest towels, because it's just the easiest and fastest way to do it when you're working a 16 to 20 hour day, 7 days straight. You're going for the most efficient way to do it, even if it's kind of gross, And so I figured we could make a smaller version of this and use it on all of the interior showers and any of the flooring that gets wet. And then my mind went to the engine room. If we have some kind of oil spill, they have they're almost like a diaper material, but it's to absorb oil spills specifically, or fuel on yachts. And there's squares that the boat orders, and they have them on hand in case there is some kind of oil spill, because it's basically like a really expensive vehicle that's floating on the water.
Totally. Yep.
So, this item, I believe, would help in that situation too. It would probably need to be a smaller version, like the one we would use on the interior. But and then I just lily pad down to all the different industries that this could help with, because Matt was telling me that he's a volunteer firefighter, and that they don't have any tools to dry the fire trucks. And so, and then I tested it out at a motor coach store in Florida, and it cut labor in half when we were drying a motor coach. So it could go into the automotive industry, because one of my friends here is a vintage car collector, and he says he's too scared to dry his vintage paint job with anything, because it's just, he's so worried about damaging the paint job. And I said, well, this tool is perfect for you, because it's non-abrasive and it'll dry your vintage car in about 2.5 minutes. So that's why I wanted to patent it, because I think that it could potentially be successful in a lot of different industries, the household industry, commercial boating, private yachting, just, recreational, and then the automotive industry. So I
That's
really
great.
wanted to protect myself and my invention, because if it does start to explode, then I'm sure there's going to be people coming and knocking.
Absolutely. Well, and that's what's one of those things that a lot of inventors get caught up with is that they think, gosh, as soon as I get the patent issued, people will be flocking to get to me. And that's not always true. In fact, usually not true. You've got to do some business development, product development, some selling and marketing on your own. I'm curious, I mean, even though you're still patent pending, it actually can be a very fortuitous time to test the market, begin to do some selling. You mentioned you had a test at the Motor Coach. What are you working toward? What's your business plan?
So we're going to start with yachting, because that's the reason why it was invented. So I want to stay true to that, because this is John's legacy as much as it is mine. So I want to do something for him, and just know that we were able to be successful. And that could mean a number of different things. That could mean like selling 100 units. But I just really want to try the yachting industry first, because that's where the idea spawned.
Yeah.
But then, once
you have some connections there, right? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. You don't need to mention names or anything, but I mean, what's your approach going to be? Do you think you're going to try to manufacture a bunch of them and then say, hey, try them out? Or will you try to maybe collaborate and have them work with you on that? What are your thoughts?
So the prototype is being built right now. The plan is to have, I think it's about 1,000 units built once the first T1 sample is ready and we've approved it, and make sure that the quality is there and it's exactly what we want to sell. But once that's done, we'll probably make the first order of 1,000 units. But as soon as I get the prototype in my hand, I'm going to fly down to Florida and get in touch with captains. Basically what they call dock walking. When you're looking for a job, you start walking along all the docks in Florida with your resume. That's essentially what I'm going to do in the small version while I'm there. But I am going to try and set up some meetings with some of the major distributors that are down there. So National Marine, West Marine, even go to some car dealerships if I have some time. But I'd really like to get some wholesale started and some contracts with these big distributors, because they ship internationally. Yeah. And but I think doing some hard work and dock walking would be good for me too. A nice humbling experience, and show people in real life what it's like to use it. So
yeah, great.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about prototyping. You mentioned getting the first 1,000 units. How did you find the manufacturer that you're working with? And tell us a little bit about the ups and downs of that.
So I didn't actually find them. I've been working with a company called 52 Launch.
Okay.
They're a product development company. So I came to them with my idea, and they got really excited about it. And so they helped me develop the design that we're at today, CAD drawings and everything, materials. We actually just had a meeting today, which went really well, just to catch us up on where we're at with the manufacturing. So they have a facility or they have a relationship with a facility in China. And so that's who we're going to be doing the first order with. They specialize in carbon fiber, which is great. And they deal with some really high-end products, of which I don't think I'm allowed to say. But they have a really wonderful reputation. They're actually building a massive kayak entirely made out of carbon fiber.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Super lightweight, right? And technological. Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about them, but apparently they've got a wonderful reputation, and I'm so excited to get the T1 sample. So
that's awesome. Well, so you're using a third party, a design company, a product development company, 52 Launch, who we know pretty well. That's great to hear. And you're sort of relying on them to sort of source your manufacturer. It sounds like they found a good one. Best of luck. When do you hope to land that T1 sample? Is that soon?
The deadline for it to be prepared and ready to ship will be July 28th. So it'll come quickly, I think.
Good. Awesome. Well, you've done a couple very smart things too. I want to make sure we get to in the last few minutes. You have a name for a product. Not all inventors can get that far. So HydroSweep, tell us about that story, about that naming. And then if you have, are you going to register that as a trademark?
So the name was probably the most difficult part of this, because it's you're stuck with it, right? Like once you're out there, you're stuck with it. So that took me a really long time. It was actually collaboration between me and the marketing team at 52 Launch. They were very helpful. We threw a bunch of kind of nautical and water related terms out there, and it was just, it ended up being just a combination of a couple of words that flashed on the screen for us. And I was actually in Alberta with my partner over looking out onto the mountains, drinking some whiskey. And I'm like, okay, today's the day we're going to pick the name. So it happened. And then actually reached out to your company, to Bold, so that I could trademark it immediately. So I did a little bit of my own research to make sure that we could actually, have that name. And then Bold secured it and made sure that, it was appropriate for the tool itself, because Matt really stressed that it needed to be broad enough, but not too specific in terms of trademarking. So we did the trademark of the logo, the name, and we also did could be in any color, I believe, and I think there was one other thing. Oh, the tagline he also trademarked.
Oh, okay, got it. What is that tagline?
It's seamless. It's so bad that I don't remember. It's spotless something.
Okay, you got some homework to do then. Okay,
I know, right. It's like swift, seamless, spotless. It's terrible that I don't remember.
All right. Well, I like the fact that it's generic. You mentioned industries outside of marine, outside of yachting. So HydroSweep certainly would cover automotive and motor cars, right? All that, any other, maybe airplanes, who knows? So that's great. And the other one smart thing that not all inventors have done that I do want to point out is you have formed a company. Mm-hmm. You've got the entity, I believe it's a Broken Lantern. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And how has that served you? What was the decision making around that?
That was actually my accountant, because I had a meeting with him and I just said, look, this is what I'm doing. I've invented a product. I want to have the best protection for the company. I want to make sure that, we're strong in an accounting and a financial situation. What is the most advantageous way to go about having a company? So he said, incorporating yourself is the best way, because this is going to be our holding company and we can have a bunch of other subsidiaries connected to it, but this is going to be the main company that is in charge of the HydroSweep.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, as we wrap our show up, I want to make sure if anybody wants to get a hold of you, I want to get your permission if I could share your email address.
Yes, of course. Yep.
Okay. And I've got the Adrienne at thehydrosweep.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. I'll put that in. Anybody out there listening now or after the fact want to get a hold of you, maybe borrow help, get some help with their own invention, maybe follow in your footsteps, you'd be willing to share some advice with them. And I want to thank you for sharing your time and your story with me and my audience here. So thank you, Adrienne.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And I just want to say that your company has been invaluable to me as a new inventor. I was so lost at the beginning. I had no idea what I was doing. And you have just the most professional lawyers. And there are not enough nice things I can say about you guys.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. Well, we strive to do that, help inventors just like you change the world. That's what we do here. So congrats and best of luck on your journey. We'll be in touch and hopefully be able to have you back on with some more updates down the road.
That sounds great.
All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good day. Go big. Go bold.
Go big. Go bold at boldip.com.